Hi, I'm John Vopel with the Trail Running Club. We're all out searching for that perfect shoe, and it just doesn't seem to be there for any of it. I've written a lot about the Exodus 3.0 and from Saucony. I really like this shoe. It works for me for what I need real well. But on the Saucony website, it is listed as 11.1 ounces. Not the heaviest shoe there is, but it's certainly not the lightest. So what I've done is I've started to modify them and cut them down and get rid of some of that weight. And I just want to share with you today how I've done that and give you some ideas on how you might be able to modify your own shoes in the future. So I just don't pull shoes out of the box and start cutting them up normally. First off, this pair of shoes, I have over 520 miles on them. They're still going strong. At 400 miles is when I start cutting them up. I thought I was far enough into them that we'll just see what happens, and I wanted enough miles on them to keep going. So what I did was I started taking off a lot of the decorative pieces. Along here, I've removed that. I've removed all these silly loops. And more importantly, I've removed a lot of these lugs along the sides. If you look at them from the top, you can see, if not, I'm going to show some pictures later, but you can see the lugs stick out on the outside. They come angled up. And so what I've done is I've just shaved them all off and angled them in so I have a smaller footprint. And I'm going to start showing you how I cut them up right now. So first thing I do is I just go through the shoes, find something that just absolutely does not need to be there, and cut it off. This little loop is nothing but cloth and no reason for it. Gone. Got another loop on here. And I'll trim that up a little bit later off camera. Some of the bigger, heavier things, like this decorative piece here, you want to be careful so you don't get down into the shoe. There's nothing underneath this that is going to be damaged if you don't go too deep. So what I do is I come in here and I just score the threads along the top. Snip them off. And I get my blade underneath there and I can start to pull that out. And once I get a hold on it, I can just slice up through there. All I'm doing is slicing the threads off. Okay, so I've got that. I'll do the same thing on what's the top of the shoe. And then in the back, on the edge, just run my razor along there and it just cuts that off. And it's a lot better to cut it not quite deep enough at first and then later go deeper than it is to cut too deep the first time. Okay, so I'm going to finish cutting that off. I'm going to cut this off and trim these up a little bit, and then I'll be back with you in a few minutes. Okay, so that went reasonably well. Had a few little mishaps, but now I'm going to start on the lugs. You'll notice on the lugs that, if I can hold that up so you can see it, they're actually angled out. This outer part is and down. On this pair, after 400 miles, I still had all these little nubs that are on these grips, and I'll show you a close-up picture of that. But I just went ahead and cut them off, and after another 120 miles I couldn't tell any difference in the shoes and the performance and the comfort or anything, so there's no reason to have them on there. These are a little bit trickier, and what I do is they seem to have kind of a middle on them in the angles that they go. So I just take my razor and just cut right down through them. Throw everything in there, and they come off pretty good if you go slow. And I'll trim that up a little bit here off camera, but I'm going to go all the way around this shoe and get rid of all those, and my goal is to shave them off so when I look down at them I don't see these grips coming out. Okay, so now at this point, after I've got everything cut off for the lugs that I want cut off and the decorations and the loops, I've saved a ½ ounce. So I've turned this shoe, the Exodus 3.0, from 11.1 ounces to 10.6, and that's quite an improvement. It competes now with the Montrail Bajada. It's a much better shoe, much firmer ride, longer wearing. I get like 120 to 150 miles out of a pair of Bajadas. I got 520 out of this pair, and I'm still going on it. And pretty soon I'm going to start cutting this up even more to see what else I can take off. But I don't want to ruin these shoes before I run Javelina 100 this weekend. So hopefully that gives you a few ideas what you can do with your own shoes, whatever you wear. And just take a look. Don't be afraid to mess around with them, especially if you've got an old pair. Pull them out of the closet and start cutting them up. See what happens. As an added idea, I've just shown you how to take the Saucony Exodus, a heavier shoe, and make it lighter. I want to show you how to take a minimalist shoe and actually give it more protection. Sometimes you might need it for maybe if you're traveling or going to a race that is rockier trails than you're normally used to, or maybe you just have a shoe that you just absolutely love except it just doesn't have quite the protection. What I've done in the past is I've actually taken shoes. This is a Montrail Rogue Racer, and it has very little rock protection, if any, in it for me on these trails here. I've actually taken them, and I've taken just a simple cutting board. They're just like little plastic, but they're very, very tough and firm, and you can get them at Target, Walmart, any of your home family stores like that. And I've actually outlined them with my sock liner, and then cut out a pattern and slipped it underneath in my shoe and then underneath my sock liner, and it makes an amazing rock plate. So hopefully that just gives you another idea. I guess my point is, don't be afraid to play around with your shoes. You know, they aren't made perfect for all of us. In fact, I don't think they're probably made perfect for anybody, and don't be afraid to modify them to what your needs are. Hope this helps.